The 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin is one of the most fascinating and valuable coins ever discovered by collectors, not just because of its age, but because of its incredible historical background, unique minting characteristics, and the surprisingly high price it can command in today's numismatic market. Many people think that old pennies are worthless, but that's not true at all. Some of them can be worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. And in the case of the 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, we're talking about a coin that can fetch up to $59,690, depending on its condition, grade, and rarity. So in this long video, we are going to explore everything about this incredible coin, from its design and production history to the errors that make it rare, how to identify valuable examples, and why collectors are willing to pay a fortune for it today. Let's begin with the history behind this coin. The 1976 Lincoln 1-cent penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it has no mint mark. During this time, the U.S. Mint was still producing pennies using a 95% copper and 5% zinc composition. This copper-based penny design had been used since 1909 when the Lincoln cent was first introduced to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Victor David Brenner, a talented sculptor, designed the coin, and his initials, VDB, can be seen on the reverse of some issues. The obverse side of the coin features a bust of President Lincoln facing right with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust." At the top, Liberty, to the left, and the date, 1976, on the right side. The reverse design, which was used from 1959 until 2008, shows the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., with the inscriptions, "United States of America," along the top edge, "E Pluribus Unum," above the memorial, and 1 cent, along the bottom. Now, while millions of 1976 Lincoln cents were minted for circulation, most of them are only worth their face value or a few cents more because of the copper content. However, certain examples without mint marks, with special minting characteristics or striking errors, have become extremely valuable among collectors. The no mint mark simply means the coin was minted in Philadelphia, but not all 1976 no mint mark coins are created equal. The most valuable ones often have very sharp details, deep mirror-like fields, or extremely rare minting errors that make them stand out from the rest. Let's talk about what makes some 1976 Lincoln pennies so rare. First, condition plays a huge role. The grading scale used by professional coin graders like PCGS and NGC ranges from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS70. Coins that are in uncirculated condition, meaning they show no wear and have full original mint luster, can be worth significantly more. The highest graded 1976 no mint mark Lincoln cent sold for tens of thousands of dollars because it was in nearly perfect condition with brilliant color and sharp details. Collectors love coins that look exactly as they did the day they left the mint, and those are very hard to find today because most of the 1976 pennies have been in circulation for decades, picking up scratches, dents, and discoloration along the way. Another factor that makes the 1976 Lincoln cent valuable is the presence of minting errors. Errors occur when something goes wrong during the coin production process. For example, a double die obverse error happens when the die that strikes the coin shifts slightly between impressions, causing the design or lettering to appear doubled. On some 1976 Lincoln cents, collectors have found doubling on the word Liberty, on the date 1976, or on the motto, "In God We Trust." Such coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the intensity of the doubling and the overall condition of the coin. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned during minting, resulting in part of the design missing. The more off-center the strike while still showing the full date, the more valuable the coin tends to be. Other types of errors include clipped planchets, die cracks, and even wrong planchet errors where the penny was struck on a foreign coin blank. Each of these varieties adds to the uniqueness and desirability of the coin. Now, the reason the 1976 Lincoln cent has become so valuable is not just about the metal or the minting errors, but also the year itself. The year 1976 marked the bicentennial of the United States of America, 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. During that year, special commemorative designs were released for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins, but not for the penny. Because of this, the 1976 Lincoln penny stands out as a simple yet powerful reminder of American history during the nation's 200th anniversary. That historical connection adds emotional and historical value to this coin, making it even more desirable for collectors who appreciate that period in U.S. coinage. So, how can you tell if your 1976 Lincoln penny might be valuable? Start by checking for the mint mark. Remember, if there's no mint mark under the date, that means it was struck in Philadelphia. Next, examine the coin's condition. If it looks almost new, with sharp details and full original luster, it could be worth grading by a professional service. Look closely for any doubling on the letters or numbers. You can use a magnifying glass or microscope to check for doubling on Liberty or the date. If you find any unusual features, you might have a valuable error coin. It's also worth weighing the coin. A genuine copper 1976 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it's significantly lighter, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet, which could make it extremely rare. Collectors also pay attention to color. Lincoln cents come in 3 color designations: red, RD, red-brown, RB, and brown, BN. Red coins are the most desirable because they retain their original bright copper color from the mint. Over time, copper reacts with the air and darkens, turning brown. So, if you have a 1976 no mint mark penny that still shines bright red, that's a big plus. The combination of brilliant red color, high mint state grade, and lack of wear is what pushes the value of this coin toward that incredible figure of $59,690. Let's talk a bit more about the market for these coins. The numismatic market, which deals with collectible coins, can be quite dynamic. Prices rise and fall based on collector demand, rarity, and condition. In recent years, collectors have shown renewed interest in modern-era Lincoln cents, especially those with high grades or minting anomalies. Auction records show that rare 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies in top mint state condition have sold for tens of thousands of dollars. For example, an MS-67 red graded by PCGS sold for an extraordinary amount because it was one of only a few known in that pristine condition. If you're lucky enough to find a 1976 Lincoln penny in your collection or in pocket change, don't dismiss it right away. Carefully inspect it before spending it. Sometimes the most valuable coins are hiding in plain sight. You might be holding a piece of history worth more than a car or even a house. Always store your valuable coins properly. Keep them in a dry, cool environment, ideally in protective coin holders or capsules to prevent damage. Avoid cleaning your coins, as cleaning can reduce their value dramatically. Collectors prefer original surfaces with natural toning, even if they appear slightly dull, over coins that have been cleaned or polished. It's fascinating to think that a simple penny, worth only 1 cent when it was made, can now command tens of thousands of dollars. That's the beauty of coin collecting. Every coin has a story, and some stories are worth a fortune. The 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln penny story ties together American history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. Every collector dreams of finding that one perfect coin, and for many, this one represents a tangible piece of America's bicentennial era. Beyond its market value, this coin serves as a connection to the past. Think about how many hands a 1976 penny might have passed through, how it might have been used to buy candy, newspapers, or even gasoline when prices were much lower. Yet today, that same penny could make someone thousands of dollars richer. That transformation from everyday object to rare collectible is what makes numismatics so exciting. In conclusion, the 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is much more than a common coin. It is a symbol of American heritage, a piece of numismatic art, and a potential treasure waiting to be discovered. With its copper composition, its link to the nation's bicentennial year, and the chance of existing in flawless condition or with rare mint errors, it has become one of the most sought-after modern pennies in the collecting world. The 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin is one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatic history, a small copper coin that carries with it a story of rarity, rare varieties, and incredible collector value. This coin, minted at the Denver Mint, has become the subject of interest among coin collectors, historians, and enthusiasts who appreciate both its craftsmanship and the unique features that make certain examples worth an astonishing $90,876 in today's market. In this video, we are going to explore every detail about this rare and valuable coin, from its origin, minting process, varieties, and errors, to how you can identify one that could make you a fortune if found in your collection or spare change. The 1960 Lincoln 1-cent coin was produced during a time of transition in American coinage. It was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse side of the coin. In that year, a total of hundreds of millions of pennies were minted, but among them, a rare variety was created that changed the way collectors viewed modern pennies. The coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which first appeared in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. On the reverse side, the coin displays the iconic wheat ears design, which was being phased out by this time to make way for the Lincoln Memorial reverse starting in 1959. However, because of certain variations in die use, the 1960 penny has become particularly famous for its unique characteristics. Especially the small date and large date varieties. One of the most remarkable facts about the 1960 penny is that there are two primary versions, the 1960 small date and the 1960 large date. The difference between the two may seem subtle at first glance, but to collectors, it means everything. On the small date variety, the numbers in the date, particularly the 6 and the 0, appear closer together, and the 9 sits slightly lower, giving it a more compact appearance. In contrast, the large date variety has the 6 and 0 more evenly spaced, and the 9 sits higher, making the entire date appear larger and more pronounced. The small date variety was produced for only a limited time before the Denver Mint corrected the dies, and that limited production makes it far more valuable today. But that's not the end of the story. There's another variety that makes the 1960 penny incredibly valuable, the 1960 D/D, or D/D repunched mint mark error. During the minting process, dies were often hand-punched with mint marks, and sometimes the letter D was accidentally punched more than once, creating a doubled or shadowed appearance. This variety, known as a repunched mint mark (RPM), shows two distinct impressions of the D mint mark overlapping. These RPM errors were relatively common in earlier minting years, but in 1960, a specific combination of the small date design and the D/D mint mark created one of the most desirable modern penny varieties in existence. If you happen to find a 1960 penny that looks slightly different, take a closer look with a magnifying glass. Focus on the date and the mint mark. The most valuable version of this coin is the 1960 small date D/D repunched mint mark penny. It is one of the rarest and most sought-after Lincoln cent varieties, and in pristine uncirculated condition, especially with a red or red-brown color grading, its value can reach extraordinary levels, up to $90,876 according to recent auction results. Collectors prize the 1960 penny because of the combination of historical significance and minting anomaly. During the early 1960s, the U.S. Mint was working to improve production speed, and errors were more common as dies wore out or were reused. This explains how variations like the D/D came to exist. But only a small fraction of these coins survived in near-perfect condition. Most entered circulation, where they were used in daily transactions, worn down, and eventually lost among billions of other coins. Finding one today, especially with the right variety and condition, is like finding a piece of buried treasure. Now, let's talk about how to identify and grade these coins. The value of any 1960 Lincoln penny depends heavily on its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from poor, which is barely recognizable, to mint state, MS, which means the coin looks nearly brand new as if it just came out of the mint. For example, A 1960 small date penny in circulated condition might be worth only a few dollars, but the same coin in mint state 65 red condition can fetch thousands. The highest auction records have gone to coins with perfect red luster, fully struck details, and no visible wear or scratches. Collectors often send their coins to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, where experts verify authenticity and assign a grade. Coins that are certified as MS67 or higher are the ones that command those incredible five-figure prices. The composition of the 1960 Lincoln cent is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a standard alloy used for most Lincoln cents before 1982 when the mint switched to zinc-based coins with a thin copper plating. The weight of the coin is about 3.11 grams, and its diameter is 19 millimeters. These small details help confirm authenticity, since counterfeiters sometimes produce replicas that differ slightly in weight or size. When inspecting a coin, always check for consistent texture, sharp rim edges, and even coloration. Authentic copper coins from this era tend to darken over time, developing a natural patina, though collectors prefer those with original red shine. It's worth noting that some collectors specialize entirely in Lincoln cent varieties, and the 1960 small date D/D penny holds a legendary status among them. In recent years, examples of this coin in top condition have been sold in major auctions for staggering amounts. One well-preserved specimen graded MS67 red sold for over $80,000, and another went even higher, reaching the $90,876 mark. These coins are not just valuable because of their rarity but also because they represent an important chapter in the story of U.S. coin production, where small errors turned into historical treasures. If you're wondering how you might find one of these coins, there are a few places to look. First, go through old coin jars, inherited collections, or penny rolls from the bank. Many people have old pennies stored away without realizing their potential value. The 1960 penny was widely circulated, so there's always a chance that one of the rare varieties could still be hiding among common cents. Using a magnifier, look closely at the date and mint mark area. If the mint mark looks doubled or if the date seems smaller and closer together than usual, you may have a valuable find. Always compare your coin to verified images of the known varieties to be sure. When it comes to selling such a coin, it's important to approach a reputable dealer or auction house. Never rush into selling without first having your coin authenticated and graded. The difference between a circulated coin and a certified mint state coin can be tens of thousands of dollars. If you think your coin might be one of the rare varieties, you can contact professional organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. They can examine your coin and provide certification, which dramatically increases its market value and makes it easier to sell to serious collectors. Another fascinating aspect of the 1960 Lincoln cent is its place in numismatic history. During this time, the mint was experimenting with new die-making technologies, and the small versus large date issue created confusion among collectors. The small date variety was minted first, but the mint quickly switched to the large date design because it was easier to produce with fewer die cracks and misalignments. However, because the small date dies were used briefly at the Denver Mint, only a limited number of coins exist, making them true collector's items. The reverse side of the 1960 penny, featuring the wheat ears design, is also significant. This was one of the last years of the wheat reverse Lincoln cents, which were replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse design starting in 1959. That means this coin sits right at the crossroads of two eras in U.S. coinage design, the end of the wheat era and the beginning of the Memorial era. This transition adds even more historical interest for collectors, as it represents both a design and a minting evolution. Many coin enthusiasts also point out that the 1960 penny has a distinctive color and luster when properly preserved. The 1963 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin is one of those fascinating pieces of American history that many people overlook, yet it hides incredible value for those who know what to look for. Struck at the Denver Mint, this coin may appear to be just another ordinary penny at first glance, but in the world of coin collectors, it has become an extraordinary treasure. Today, we're diving deep into the story, details, varieties, errors, and the current market value of the 1963 D Lincoln penny, which can reach an astonishing $71,243 in pristine condition. So sit back and enjoy as we explore everything you need to know about this rare and valuable coin. The 1963 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, located in Colorado, and it bears the D Mint mark just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. This particular year was the second to last year of the wheat reverse design before the memorial design replaced it in 1959. But the 1963 penny kept that same familiar Lincoln Memorial design that would remain in circulation for decades. It was part of the Lincoln Memorial series, which began in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse, or front side, of the coin features a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, a design first introduced in 1909. The reverse side showcases the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, and it replaced the earlier wheat ears reverse that collectors still treasure today. The composition of the 1963 D penny is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a reddish-brown tone when new. Over time, depending on how the coin was stored or circulated, it could develop a variety of shades ranging from bright red to dark brown. The total mintage at the Denver Mint was over 1 billion, making it one of the most common pennies of its era. However, even with such a large number minted, finding a 1963 D penny in perfect condition with no contact marks, full original red luster, and sharp striking details is extremely difficult. These high-quality examples are the ones that have become so desirable among collectors, driving their value into the tens of thousands of dollars. Now let's talk about why this coin can be worth over $71,000. The key factor behind the high value lies in the coin's grade and condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, with 70 representing a perfect coin, free from any flaws even under magnification. A 1963 D penny that grades MS 67 or higher, especially with a full red luster, is incredibly rare. Most coins from that year show some level of wear, scratches, or toning, but those that have survived in flawless, mint-state condition are prized by serious collectors. In fact, some have been auctioned for tens of thousands of dollars, including one that reached a record price of over $71,000 due to its nearly perfect preservation and eye-catching red color point. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1963 D penny is the presence of die errors and varieties that can make even an average-looking coin worth much more than face value. Some of the most sought-after varieties include double die obverse and reverses, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and broad strikes. In a double die variety, the design elements appear slightly duplicated due to misalignment during the hubbing process. If you look closely at the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date on the coin and notice doubling, that could indicate a valuable error. Similarly, a repunched mint mark, where the D appears to have been stamped more than once, can also increase the value. Collectors also search for off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not perfectly centered, leaving part of the planchet blank. Depending on how off-center the strike is, these coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another variety to look for is the die crack or die clash, where imperfections in the die create raised lines or ghost images on the coin's surface. These types of minting anomalies make each coin unique and collectible. When examining a 1963 D penny, pay attention to its color. Collectors classify Lincoln pennies into three main color categories: red, RD, red-brown, RB, and brown, BN. Red pennies retain their original copper shine and are the most desirable and valuable. Red-brown coins show a mix of coppery red and darker tones, while brown coins have completely toned over time. A 1963 D penny in red color and mint state 67 or higher is what reaches those sky-high prices of over $71,000. Let's explore the historical background a bit more because understanding the era in which this coin was made helps explain its significance. The year 1963 was a pivotal time in American history. It was the final year of President John F. Kennedy's full presidency, the height of the civil rights movement, and an era of rapid economic growth. The penny itself was still mostly copper, unlike modern pennies that are mostly zinc with a thin copper coating. That rich copper composition adds to the weight, feel, and collectible appeal of older Lincoln pennies. It was also one of the last coins produced before the massive changes that would come to U.S. coinage in the mid-1960s, when the government removed silver from dimes and quarters and adjusted other metal compositions due to rising costs. In circulation, the 1963 D-penny served its purpose for decades. Millions passed through the hands of Americans, used for everyday purchases like candy, stamps, and newspapers. Most of these coins became worn out over time and lost their mint luster, ending up in jars, drawers, and coin rolls. However, the few that were carefully preserved, sometimes by accident, and sometimes by collectors who recognized their beauty early on, are now commanding incredible prices. Let's discuss the grading and pricing breakdown so you understand what determines the value. A 1963 D-penny in average circulated condition is usually worth only a few cents, mainly for its copper content. In uncirculated condition, the price rises to a few dollars. Once you reach mint state 65 red, you might be looking at coins worth $25 to $50. At mint state 66 red, the value jumps significantly, often ranging from $100 to $300 depending on market demand. But at the top grades like MS 67 or higher, especially if certified by PCGS or NGC, you enter the elite category where prices can exceed tens of thousands. These high-grade examples are so scarce that even experienced collectors may go years without encountering one. The record-breaking auction sales have turned this humble penny into a legend among coin enthusiasts. At major numismatic auctions, bidding wars have erupted over flawless 1963 D-pennies. One specimen graded MS 67 plus red sold for more than $71,000 because it had exceptional luster, sharp details, and perfect eye appeal. For collectors, finding or owning a coin like that is a dream come true, as it combines rarity, beauty, and historical significance. Now, let's talk about how you can identify if your 1963 D-penny might be valuable. First, inspect the coin under a good light. Look for its color, any signs of doubling, and the condition of the surfaces. If the coin still has its original red copper shine with minimal contact marks, it could be worth sending to a professional grading service. You can also use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to check for any unusual minting features like die cracks, repunched mint marks, or doubling on the inscriptions. The more unique the coin's appearance, and the better its condition, the more likely it is to have significant collector value. Collectors also pay attention to the strike quality. Some 1963 D-pennies have weak strikes, especially on Lincoln's hair details or the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. A sharply struck coin with full step lines and crisp features will always command a premium over weaker examples. Another factor is the coin's luster and toning pattern. A bright, evenly colored penny is generally worth more than one with dull or blotchy surfaces. Proper storage is also key to maintaining or increasing the value of your 1963 D-penny. Because copper is reactive, it can easily tone or corrode if exposed to moisture or air. Always store your valuable pennies in airtight holders, away from humidity and temperature changes. Using non-PVC coin flips or capsules is highly recommended. Avoid cleaning your coin at all costs, as cleaning can permanently damage the surface and drastically reduce its value. For new collectors, the 1963 D Lincoln penny is an excellent coin to start learning about mint marks, varieties, and the grading system. It's a coin that teaches patience, attention to detail, and respect for the history behind every small piece of metal we use as money. The 1964 D Lincoln 1-cent penny coin is one of the most fascinating pieces in American numismatic history, not just because of its design and mintage, but because of the remarkable value it can hold today. What was once just a simple copper coin used in daily transactions has now turned into a collector's treasure worth as much as $89,675 in pristine condition. Let's take a deep dive into everything that makes the 1964 D Lincoln penny so special: its history, design, minting details, varieties, errors, grading, and what collectors look for when valuing this extraordinary coin. The 1964 D Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. This coin was part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features a detailed portrait of Abraham Lincoln, facing right, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust." At the top, Liberty, to the left, and the date, 1964, accompanied by the D mint mark on the right. The reverse features two wheat stalks curving inward along the sides with the words 1 cent and United States of America in the center, along with the motto E pluribus unum across the top. This design is often called the Wheat Penny reverse, even though the Lincoln Memorial design replaced it in 1959. However, because the 1964 D penny continued the Memorial reverse, it marked a continuation of this later design phase. The Denver Mint produced over 3 billion Lincoln pennies in 1964, making it one of the most common coins of its time. But what truly makes some examples stand out is their exceptional condition, striking quality, and rare minting errors. Ordinary circulated 1964 D pennies are generally worth only a few cents to collectors. However, uncirculated examples in mint state condition, particularly those with a deep red luster and flawless surfaces, can reach thousands of dollars. The highest quality specimens, often graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, can command extraordinary sums, including the top auction price of $89,675 for a pristine mint state red example with full strike and mirror-like fields. Collectors pay close attention to the color designation of Lincoln cents: red, red-brown, and brown. Over time, copper coins oxidize and darken, losing their original bright red hue. The red coins, preserved in near-perfect condition since 1964, are the most desirable. A full red 1964 D penny graded MS67RD or higher can sell for tens of thousands of dollars, as such high grades are extremely rare. Only a handful of coins from that year and mint have ever achieved such high designations. In addition to condition, another key factor driving the value of the 1964 D penny is the presence of minting errors and die varieties. Some coins from this year exhibit double die obverse or reverse errors, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and other unique features that make them incredibly desirable. A 1964 D penny with a strong double die obverse, where the letters of Liberty or the date appear doubled, can command a premium of hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the clarity of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Similarly, repunched mint mark varieties, where the D appears to have been struck more than once in slightly different positions, are highly collectible. One famous error from this period involves transitional planchets, or blank coins, made from the wrong metal composition. Although the 1964 pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a few experimental or transitional errors might exist that were struck on different planchets, such as those intended for foreign coins or later compositions. Such pieces are exceedingly rare and can bring extraordinary sums when authenticated. The historical context of the 1964 D penny also adds to its intrigue. During the early 1960s, the United States Mint was facing coin shortages due to increased demand for coins in circulation. The Mint ramped up production in Denver, Philadelphia, and San Francisco to meet this need, leading to the massive mintage of 1964 coins. However, despite the high numbers, collectors today seek out examples that escape circulation entirely, coins that were stored in rolls, mint sets, or sealed bags that preserve their brilliant luster. Let's talk about the physical details of the coin. The 1964 D Lincoln penny weighs 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. It has a smooth edge and was struck on a copper alloy planchet. Its composition makes it heavier and richer in color than modern zinc pennies introduced in 1982. Because of the high copper content, older pennies like this one often develop beautiful natural toning over the decades, ranging from red gold to deep chocolate brown. Certain collectors prize these tones for their beauty and originality, which can also enhance the value. The design by Victor David Brenner has remained one of the most beloved in American coinage history. The obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln was based on a photograph taken by Matthew Brady, showing Lincoln's calm and resolute expression. The reverse of the 1964 D penny, featuring the Lincoln Memorial, was designed by Frank Gasparo. If you look closely at the reverse, you can actually see a tiny representation of the Lincoln statue inside the memorial, a remarkable detail for such a small coin. This design, used from 1959 through 2008, is one of the longest-running reverses in U.S. coin history. Now, why would a simple 1-cent coin ever be worth $89,675? The answer lies in rarity of condition and collector demand. In the world of coin collecting, the difference between a common uncirculated coin and a top-graded gem is enormous. Coins graded MS65, MS66, and MS67 show progressively higher levels of strike quality, surface preservation, and luster. At the very top end, coins that achieve grades of MS68 RD or higher are nearly flawless under magnification. These are the coins that draw record bids at auction because they represent the absolute best examples known to exist. For the 1964 D penny, such examples are exceptionally scarce, making them the holy grail for collectors of the Lincoln series. Let's not forget about the role of coin grading services in establishing market value. Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, are two of the most respected grading firms in the industry. When a coin is sent in for grading, experts evaluate it for authenticity, strike quality, surface marks, color, and eye appeal. The coin is then encapsulated in a protective holder with a label showing its grade. Coins graded MS67 RD or higher from these companies often appear in major auctions, where competitive bidding drives prices to astonishing levels. If you're a collector or a treasure hunter hoping to find one of these valuable 1964 D Lincoln pennies, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, check your old coin jars, rolls of pennies, and inherited collections. Coins stored in dry, temperature-controlled environments with minimal handling have the best chance of retaining their red luster. Look closely under a magnifying glass for sharp details, minimal contact marks, and brilliant red color. Also, examine the coin for any unusual characteristics like doubled lettering, off-center strikes, or die cracks. Even minor errors can make a big difference in value. There have been notable auction results that show just how incredible the demand for this coin can be. In one case, a collector paid over $89,000 for a 1964 D Lincoln penny in a near-perfect grade with stunning red color. This particular coin was graded MS68 RD, placing it among the finest known examples. The surface was nearly flawless, the strike was sharp, and the luster was mirror-like, setting it apart from the billions of other 1964 D pennies produced that year. That kind of price shows how even the most ordinary-seeming coins can become treasures when preserved perfectly. Beyond monetary value, the 1964 D penny represents an era of American coinage when craftsmanship and metal quality were still high. It stands as a reminder of a time when coins were made from real copper, not the zinc cores of today's cents. Each one tells a story of mid-century America, from its design heritage to its production at the Denver Mint during a time of economic growth and social change. It's more than just money, it's a piece of history you can hold in your hand. For collectors, investing in Lincoln pennies like the 1964 D is not just about financial gain. It's about preserving history, studying the intricate details of minting, and appreciating the artistry that went into every coin.